Доброго дня.
Good afternoon. This is the second briefing in Media Center Ukraine, Odesa, and it will be dedicated to the documentary film festival that will take place in Odesa Oblast quite soon. We're having with us Yevgen Dvorsky, head of the community organization Cultural Education, and the leader of the cultural initiative Kinomisiya, who will share details about this festival. I would like to welcome everyone, and now I would like to announce the start of the Docudays UA International Human Rights Documentary Film Festival. This is the 19th edition that takes place in Ukraine, and this is a traveling festival. So the screenings will be in Odesa and in the Odesa Oblast and the Savran territorial community. In Odesa, it will take from the 23rd to the 25th of December. The format includes not only screenings, but the possibility of discussion after it. For some of the documentaries, we will have directors or filmmakers, and we will also have two human rights events on Saturday and on Sunday at 1 p.m. with the involvement of lawyers, experts, and our colleagues. These events are targeting the wide audience. Now, I would like to share with you details about the program, because we have selected these screenings especially for Odesa. This time we're focused on Ukrainian documentaries, because in these times we have a lot to discuss, we have a lot to tell, and the messages generated by these documentaries will be useful for our audience. And I hope that everyone will be able to find his or her favorite documentary to discuss it after the screening. So we are starting on Friday at 5 p.m. and that will be the selection of short documentaries, including the film, the documentary Liturgy of Anti-Tank Obstacles. This film is about reality, about modern times, about the fact that our life is divided in what was before and what we can expect in the future. In the period, people change their jobs. For example, those sculptors that are now in Ukraine, they don't create art anymore, but they have other functions. For example, like creating and producing anti-tank obstacles. And this is an example of the transformation in art. The second documentary is Fortress Mariupol. There is a series of films by the team of Babylon 13, and one of the film from the series, one of the documentary, is named Orest, which we will screen within the festival edition in Odesa. This film, this documentary, is about the servicemen, about the person defending Azovstal. And he is the head of the press service of Azov battalion. And we know that he was captivated together with other servicemen. And the director of the film, she tried to contact that person to have the dialogue. And the next film is Peace and Tranquility. This is the play of Andriy Batarenko, a well-known playwright, telling about the life which was stopped by the war. We have the directors Miro Klitschko and Anatoly Tatarenko. So they shot the 11 11-minute film, basing on this play, adding a lot of different photos. So this is kind of a film photo college, telling the story about one family. At 7 p.m. on Friday, we offer to our audience the only international documentary within our program, The Hamlet Syndrome. It received the Grand Prix at the 17th Lokalny International Film Festival. This film will be interesting for those who like documentary films, who like theaters, who like playback theater, because it will be also interesting for psychologists, because the major focus of this film is the story that took place several months before the full-scale invasion. 5 young men and women participate in unique performance, trying to connect the experience of war with the Shakespeare's Hamlet. So to be or not to be is directly related to their own lives. On Saturday and on Sunday, we offer the following format: one human rights event, and then 3 documentaries. So we will start with presenting the basic human rights and the discussion of human rights and the rights of children. We will have the speaker Oleg Okhretko representing NGO, the Center of Civil Education, Al-Menda. Our guest will present some information about human rights in line with the international standards, and then we will have a Q&A session. So the audience will be able to get even a small legal advice from our speaker after the event. At 3 p.m., we will have the next documentary, Mountains and Heaven in Between, directed by Hryshko. We have already showed the films of this director in our Odesa projects, including our project Cinema in Theater. We showed the film about rescuers in the Carpathian Mountains. So that was the film about their routine. That was a very interesting experience, because the film included a lot of interesting information about how you should, what you should do in mountains when you lose your way. So that was a very interesting practical experience shared by rescuers. This new documentary, Mountains and Heaven in Between, tells about a village in mountains that have only 4 field nurses for the whole district. So we offer our audience kind of a voyage demonstrating all the difficulties of work of field nurses in such place. The next one at 5 p.m. we will have the next documentary. This is the Tales of Toy Horse of Uliana Rosovsky and Denis Strashny. The documentary is based on the story of an anti-Soviet activist that lives in a beautiful mansion in Tallinn, and who came to Ukraine after 2014 to become a volunteer in Donbass. And film tells about his volunteer mission that covers most parts of Ukraine. So in this documentary, we can see quite a different side of the life of a volunteer. This is usually what is not told by the news or official sources. And on Saturday, we will have one more documentary, Terry Cones, by Taras Tomenko. And we know that he's a director of the documentary The House of Word of 2017. In this new film, he shows the the story of a child through documentary observing one Donbas family, in particular a small girl, who, despite the fact that her house was destroyed on the New Year's Eve by a missile, still believes in miracles. She believes that the war will be over, and she continues sending letters to the Santa Claus for her father to come back home. And that film was also screened at the Berlin Film Festival. The next day, we will start the day again with the human activist event. I believe that this is a very important topic for every resident of our city. Our speaker will be Anastasia Boyko, the representative of Veterans Hub Odesa. She's a lawyer. The event will tell about the self-governance system, what are the powers, what are the influence tools, how to write addresses, how to control our authorities in terms of meeting their undertakings. She will also speak about the local initiatives, the procedure of the implementation thereof. She will also tell about the civil hearings, about the electronic petitions and how they can be signed. She will also tell about the advocacy in territorial community, budgeting, and other processes. So during this event, she will cover all the topics, and after the presentation, there will be a Q&A session. At 3 p.m., we will start screening the documentary Crimea River, directed by Odesa Margunets-Isayenko. We have already showed films of this director within our projects in Odesa. For example, the tale about money of 2017 and the Beige Operation, which is documentary of 2019. In this new film, Ms. Margunets-Isayenko tries to understand the sacral meaning of rivers in Ukraine in the context of the environmental situation that impact these rivers. Together with Odesa, we will offer our viewers the voyage to the main rivers of Ukraine to see their condition. There are a lot of aerial videos in this documentary, and there are a lot of scientific facts in it. We will also try to make people think about who is responsible for the condition of rivers. Perhaps this is due to lack of actions from our side. At 5 p.m. We will have the next film. This is Infinity According to Florian. This is quite an interesting film because it examines the personality of the famous architect, urbanist, and artist Florian Yuryev, who has built the flying saucer in Kiev. This is an architectural object. This is an urbanist and urban and art project. And here you will also be questioned, what is the solar system, what is the Earth, what is the humanity? The film tries to find answers to other questions and tells why the tells about the capitalism path. So this is a very interesting philosophical work. And at 7 p.m. we will have the last screening within this festival. This is the Ivan's Land, which is the winner of the last year edition of the festival, directed by Andriy Lisetsky. In this film, we will learn about one of the latest people's artists of Ukraine, Ivan Prihodko. This is quite an atmospheric film, and we believe that this is a good film to finalize our today's program, because the state of calmness and the state of tranquility is what we need within the turmoil that we have been facing. This is a very open and a very kind film, and it will help to each of us to find the balance even in such difficult state of emergency. And the main topic of this year edition of the festival is the state of emergency. The poster of the festival represents the window glass and the duct tape that covers it. And behind this colorful construction, we can see an image. It can be different. Everyone can see what they can see. This is what will happen after the state of emergency is over. And of course, all of us have our own expectations after our common victory. The audience can register to attend our screenings using the QR code on the poster or following the link in the Facebook event. All the screenings are free. This is not a commercial event, so there is free entrance only. The only condition is to be registered. The event will take place at PMA Odesa Hub, Fontanska Doroga 3. This is all on my side. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask them. I have only one clarification. You've mentioned the architect who built a flying saucer in Kiev. Is it still there? To know about this, you should watch our film. I don't want to provide spoilers, but I would like to say that the film is quite interesting. Several years ago, there was a short film, and if I'm not mistaken, it was also included in the last year program of the Docudays Film Festival, and that was the color of facade is blue. It was also awarded at different festivals, and basing on that short film, there was the full film produced, and this film provides more details about the events covered in the short film. And this film also provides more information about the artist himself. Thank you. Do we have any questions? Yes, we have. Union. Can you provide the information about the films that will be shown for the first time, if there are such films? And can you share more details about Orest? I understand that we should watch this film by ourselves, but can you provide some general information about this documentary? Thank you very much for your question. As for those films that will be shown for the first time, this is the documentary film festival. The screenings happen in parallel in all oblasts of Ukraine controlled by the Ukrainian government. There is a range of films that have already been presented at other festivals, but you need to clarify your question. If we speak about the Docudays, the documentary film festival, all the films will be demonstrated for the first time. But if we speak generally about the screenings in Ukraine, the most most parts of the films were not demonstrated in the cinemas of Ukraine, but they have been presented at other international festivals. So these are all Ukrainian premieres, but some of these films have been already demonstrated at international films. Yes, if we speak about, if you're asking about whether these films have been demonstrated in cinemas all over Ukraine, no. So these films are premieres, especially for Odesa audience. And what for Ukrainian audience? I think that we can say the same, because this is the uniqueness of Docudays Film Festival, because there is a certain program, and this means that these films have a festival history, so they were not widely broadcast. That's why these screenings are unique. As for Fortress of Mariupol or Rest, this is a short film, and it is quite difficult to tell a lot about this, because everything will be a spoiler. But this film includes unique stories, unique frames, the living stories. Yes, sometimes the sound is not that good, but we understand what were the conditions in which the film was shot. Because there was the poor connection at the Azovstal. That's why you should better watch the film. I don't want to talk about this, but I would like to invite you to watch the film, because this film is worth of it. And after that, I would like to have the discussion of the reflection of the film, because the Docudays Film Festival offers not only the possibility to see the film, but to discuss this, to know the feedback of the audience. Thank you. Thank you very much for providing such comprehensive information about the upcoming 3 days within the festivals. Thank you very much for this. And please remind the location of the festival. I'm pleased to do this. That will be the PMA Odesa hub. This is the 3 Fontanska Doroga Street. And for Odesa residents, I would like to remind that this is the hub on the territory of the Suspilna TV channel, near the TV tower. It is easier to find this. Thank you for sharing this information. Hopefully, you will get a lot of viewers, and you will have a lot of artistic talks after the film, and that a lot of people will also visit the human rights events that are planned within the festival. Thank you. Our next briefing will be at 1 p.m. We are waiting for the head of the Educational and Scientific Department of the Odesa Military Administration, so stay tuned.
Да, давай.